Hi everyone, I'm Sandra. Funny how it all started with a bowl of soup laced with sleeping pills. You're totally going to crush this presentation, Jason, cheered my half-sister Margaret, her words still echoing in my mind. How blind I'd been to her fake support all these years. But let me backtrack and tell you how everything went down. At 28, I was living what seemed like the perfect life. My tech startup, SecureSpend, was poised to revolutionize mobile banking security. Imagine an app that could stop fraud before it even happened. That's what my best friend and business partner, Marcus, and I had created after 3 relentless years of work. Sandra, these investor numbers are insane. We're looking at a potential series of funding of $50 million. Marcus exclaimed, practically bouncing off the walls of our downtown office that morning. I know, right? Hard to believe all this started in my garage with just us and a few energy drinks, I replied, smiling at the memory of our humble beginnings. While my professional life was soaring, my family dynamics were a different story. Margaret would show up at every family gathering with her sugary sweet demeanor that only I seemed to see through. Oh, Sandra got the idea for her app from my suggestions about online banking, she casually boasted to our relatives, while I sat there seething but silent, trying to keep the peace. And then there was Jason, Margaret's husband, who just so happened to work for ByteSecure, our biggest competitor. Such a small world in tech, isn't it? He'd say with that smirk that never quite reached his eyes. As the excitement built for our upcoming launch event, investors from Silicon Valley were flying in, and venture capitalists were practically fighting for invites. Margaret insisted on being involved in the preparations. Let me help you get ready. You're going to need all the support you can get, she offered, touching my arm like the caring big sister she pretended to be. Little did I know that her support would turn my world upside down. The night before the investor presentation, Margaret called. Maybe I should come over tonight. Mom's soup recipe always calmed your nerves before big events, she suggested, her voice dripping with concern. That would be great, I agreed, completely unaware that this simple bowl of soup would mark the beginning of my nightmare. At exactly 7:00 p.m., the doorbell rang. Margaret stood there, holding a steaming container. I made it just like Mom used to. It'll help calm those pre-presentation jitters, she said, her smile so genuine it almost made me forget how uneasy she made me feel. But something felt off as she kept watching me eat. Is there something on my face? I joked, trying to shake off the weird tension. No, just making sure my baby sister enjoys every last drop. Mom would have wanted that, she replied, eyes glinting. 20 minutes later, the room started to spin. My arms felt like lead, and my vision blurred. Margaret, I don't feel so good, I managed to whisper. Just nerves, sweetie. Why don't you lie down for a bit? I'll wake you up in plenty of time for your big day, she cooed. That was the last thing I remembered before everything went black. I woke up to sunlight streaming through my windows, my head foggy and heavy. I grabbed my phone, 11:45 a.m. My heart dropped. The investor presentation was at 9:00 a.m. sharp. 17 missed calls from Marcus, 28 texts, 1 email from our biggest potential investor. Due to your unexplained absence, we are withdrawing our interest in SecureSpend. Panicking, I called Marcus. What happened? I asked, my voice barely steady. Just get to the office now, he replied, his tone grim. I rushed in, still wearing yesterday's clothes, to find Marcus staring at his computer screen. Before you say anything, watch this, he said, pulling up security footage from my apartment's hallway cameras. He'd installed them last month after a break-in attempt at our office. The footage showed Margaret leaving my apartment, phone pressed to her ear. It's done. She'll be out cold until at least noon. Tell Jason the coast is clear for the ByteSecure presentation, she whispered into the phone. My blood ran cold as Marcus pulled up another video from a hidden camera he'd secretly installed in my kitchen. It showed Margaret carefully emptying a vial into the soup, her eyes darting nervously. I didn't say anything earlier because I needed proof of something bigger, Marcus explained. Your sister and Jason, they've been planning this for months. I watched in stunned silence as more footage played. Margaret sneaking into our office, photographing confidential documents, Jason meeting her in shadow parking lots, exchanging flash drives. They've been stealing our tech bit by bit. ByteSecure's new app? It's ours. They're launching it next week. My whole body went cold. My own sister? That's not all. Marcus hesitated. Remember when those early investors suddenly pulled out last year? I met one of them by chance, and he told me Margaret convinced them you were unstable, that you'd had mental breakdowns. I thought back to all those family dinners, the sisterly advice, the supposed support. Every memory was now tainted with betrayal. My phone buzzed with a new message from Margaret. I heard what happened. Are you okay? Can't believe you slept through the presentation. I stared at her words, rage building inside me. This wasn't just about sleeping pills or a missed presentation. This was years of calculated betrayal. Marcus, I said, my voice turning to steel, get me everything you have. Every piece of evidence. It's time my dear sister learned what real sisterly love looks like. I was done playing nice. The game she started, I was about to finish it. For the next 48 hours, Marcus and I turned our office into a war room. Screens flashed with surveillance footage, email threads, and financial records. Look at this email from 2 years ago, Marcus pointed to his monitor. Margaret told Investex's board you had a mental breakdown in college. That's why they pulled their $2 million offer. Right after that, Jason joined betrayal. It all made sense now. betrayal had suddenly started developing features suspiciously similar to our early prototypes right after that incident. A knock on the door made us both jump. It was Deanna Martinez, one of the investors who had walked away. I came to give you a chance to explain your absence yesterday, she said, then noticed the investigation board we'd set up. What's all this? Taking a deep breath, I laid everything out for her. Margaret's sabotage, Jason's corporate espionage, the stolen technology. Diana's eyes widened as she processed the evidence. There's something else you should know, she said, pulling out her phone. I've been receiving anonymous emails warning me against investing in secure spend. They called you unstable and hinted at family concerns. The sender was careful, but I bet the IP address traces back to betrayal. Marcus was already typing. Bingo. But here's the kicker. I dug into betrayal's finances. Their recent funding round? The numbers don't add up. We spent the next few hours tracing a tangled web of falsified user data and cooked books. betrayal's impressive growth was nothing but a house of cards. Margaret and Jason hadn't just stolen our technology. They'd built their empire on lies. Wait, I said, scanning their records. These names, Angela Chen, Michael Roberts, Jessica Torres. They're all former colleagues of Margaret's who suddenly vanished from the industry. More digging revealed a disturbing pattern. Every time Margaret felt threatened by someone's success, they mysteriously faced personal or professional disasters. Angela's promising career ended after sudden health issues. Michael lost his biggest clients after anonymous complaints about his behavior. Your sister's been sabotaging people for years, Marcus shook his head. You're just her latest target. As if on cue, my phone lit up with another text from Margaret. Sis, I'm worried about you. Maybe the pressure of the startup is too much. We should talk. The same fake concern she'd likely shown all her other victims. But this time, she picked the wrong target. I have an idea. Diana leaned in. betrayal's launch event is next week. They're about to unveil their revolutionary security features. Our features. What if we set a trap? Marcus's eyes gleamed. I've already started collecting their fraudulent financial records. One anonymous tip to the right authorities. No, I interrupted. We need to be smarter. Margaret survived this long by making her victims look unstable. We need to let her walk right into her own trap. I pulled up the details for betrayal's launch event. Margaret and Jason had spent months weaving their web of lies. Now it was time for them to get tangled in it. Diana, I asked, how would you like to play a starring role in betrayal's most memorable presentation ever? Over the next hour, we crafted a plan so elegantly simple that Margaret would never see it coming. She thought she destroyed her little sister's dreams. But what she didn't realize was that she just handed me everything. Here's a refined version of your story segment, capturing the climactic takedown and emotional fallout with more polish and dramatic tension. I needed to destroy her carefully constructed facade. Game on, sis. betrayal's launch event was packed with investors, media, and tech industry leaders. I sat in the back, watching Margaret and Jason take the stage, proudly showcasing their stolen technology. Our revolutionary security features will change mobile banking forever, Jason announced with that smug grin. But then, right on cue, Diana stood up from the audience. "Excuse me, just one question," she called out, her voice cutting through the applause. "Could you explain how these features differ from SecureSpend's original code filed for patent protection 6 months ago?" The room went dead silent. Margaret's face drained of color, eyes darting nervously. "I have copies of SecureSpend's original documentation right here," Diana continued, holding up a folder, "along with evidence of corporate espionage, fraudulent investment reports, and years of systematic sabotage." The doors at the back of the room burst open as SEC agents we tipped off entered. Jason tried to make a break for it, but he didn't get far, tackled just steps away from the exit. In the chaos that erupted, Margaret rushed toward me. "Sandra, please, I can explain everything." "You mean how you tried to destroy me? Just like you did with Angela Chen, Michael Roberts, and all the others." Angela herself stood up from the audience. "Remember me, Margaret? The unstable project manager you ruined." One by one, more people stood up, Margaret's past victims, all armed with evidence of her manipulations. The room filled with voices of those she betrayed, finally ready to expose her. Margaret grabbed my arm, tears streaming down her face. "Sandra, we're family. Family forgives, right?" I looked her in the eyes, my voice steady. "Family doesn't drug each other. Family doesn't steal and lie. You're not my family, Margaret. You're just another toxic person I'm cutting out of my life." I pulled away, leaving her to face the consequences she so richly deserved. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. ByteSecure's stock plummeted as investigations exposed years of fraud. Jason faced criminal charges, while Margaret's professional reputation was shattered. Victim after victim came forward, turning her name into a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, SecureSpend soared. Our original investors returned, offering even larger deals than before. Diana joined our board, bringing years of expertise and genuine support. One morning, 6 months later, Marcus mentioned casually, "Your sister's been trying to reach you again." We were in our new office, 30 floors up with a panoramic view of the city. I glanced at my phone to see another desperate message from Margaret, begging for a second chance, claiming she changed, that she missed her sister. "Block contact. Delete number. Remove from life." Marcus looked at me with concern. "You okay?" I smiled, turning back to our latest project. "Better than okay." Now, about that expansion into European markets. Because here's the thing, some people think revenge is about destroying others, but the best revenge is success, growth, and knowing that the toxic people who tried to tear you down have to watch you soar. They're trapped in the rock bottom they created for themselves. That's not just revenge, that's justice. What would you do if you discovered your own sibling had been secretly sabotaging your life for years? Would you expose them publicly, like I did, or handle it privately? And could you ever consider forgiveness?